Hey, what's good, everybody? Today on the show, this episode, we will be talking about loyalty. The title of this episode is When Loyalty Has Its Limits. A couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe, I did a short video and posted it entitled Why Loyalty Matters in Relationships. And I've just been going back, replaying it, watching it, replaying it in my head, and listening to it. So, in this episode today, I decided to go a little deeper and title this show "When Loyalty Has Reached Its Limits," and it's a topic near and dear to my heart because one of the things that stands out to me, and y'all have heard me talk about it before. But before we get into that, so I view it as some people will treat you good, some people will treat you bad, and some people are just going to be polite. But loyalty in a relationship goes beyond just treating someone good or bad. And that's just my opinion. There are some significant things about loyalty that if you don't see that quality in an individual, 9 times out of 10, you probably do not have a relationship with them. So I wanted to talk about loyalty because it ties in to me to all the things that I talk about on this podcast as it pertains to relationships. I don't know too many people who are loyal as we would, say loyal. They're right up there. Whenever I need them, they're there. And vice versa. I don't know too many people who are loyal to someone who they do not have a relationship with. But loyalty has its limits. You've heard me talk about the limits that Lot pushed with Abraham until God had to orchestrate a breakup. And sometimes that happens when loyalty has its limits. So we want to talk about that today. We want to get into that. So when we talk about what the divine order is as it pertains to relationships, we often say that you need to have a relationship with God, you need to have a relationship with yourself, you need to have a relationship with the people you hold near and dear to your heart. And I would call them the family. If you don't have a relationship there with your family members and there's no loyalty there, and you can put loyalty in any category you want to put it in. But when we define loyalty, it's that area where, again, if it goes down with you, if you go through a trial, if you have a mental setback, if you're having issues with your kids, if you're having issues with your brothers, sisters, cousins, or what have you, you know that there are a few people that you have tight relationships with, right relationships with, that you can say that they would be loyal. They would be loyal to you. If you lose your job, you need some help, they would be loyal. If you need someone to talk to, they would be loyal. They're there. Loyalty never takes a break. That is a true statement. But loyalty in everyday relationships has its limits. And oftentimes, here's what we are confronted with when loyalty. You ever had a really close, I hear people, and they're blessed, who talk about having someone still in their life from childhood. That's rare. That's rare. But I hear people have conversations about how loyal those individuals are until and it doesn't happen for everybody, but at some point, the relationship starts to lean one side or the other. I don't know. We all go through stuff. When that happens, it's hard to be loyal. Loyalty has its limits. When it's all one sided, if you're constantly showing up for someone who never does the same for you, it's time to reconsider, because even loyalty has its limits. Loyalty, though, should never be a one-way street. If you're being abused, whatever you want to call abused, in a relationship where you deem that individual as being loyal to you, if someone takes advantage of your loyalty, of your relationship, in any kind of way, physical, psychological, emotional, and wants to blame it on something else, it's time to reconsider, because loyalty has its limits. When you're in a relationship with an individual and you say that they are loyal and you are loyal and you have a loyal relationship, they're there when you need them. But when it starts to cost you your peace, and you know, there's nothing more one-sided to me than the absence of communication and conversation. If I don't know what I did not do, or what have you, then you can't call me not loyal if you hadn't expressed that. Those types of conversations are for people who have a relationship. They know themselves, and they know, hopefully, the Lord, but they also know the limits to a loyal relationship. There's no possible way that you can be loyal to someone all the way up to child. It's almost like you ask them to drop by your house. I'm giving an example of when loyalty has its limits. You ask an individual that you've been knowing all your life, you have a relationship with, you have built a relationship with you, and for the most part, it's been a good relationship. You can depend on each other. You give and you take, and you do all those particular things required to grow and nurture a relationship and build that loyalty. So you ask them to come by your house and take you to the store. In the car, you're driving. They say, hey, I got to make a stop. And they go in like they going into the bank. And you can fill in the blank with that story. You can't be loyal to them. You can't be truly loyal to them. Loyalty reached this point right there with me, because loyalty, it has limits. And if people are costing you your peace, I've learned one particular thing. Everybody has a way that they are. I try to engage an individual if they engage me. If I'm not engaged, then it's hard. It's very difficult to build a relationship where loyalty is an anchor to it. It's not worth losing peace over, because when loyalty has its limits, it'll let you know. And everybody's relationship, husband, wife, sister, brother, cousin, everybody's relationship, most people that are connected go through periods in that relationship wondering if they could depend on you. Now, now I get it. I'm not talking about people that want to get all they can get out of you, and you're always there for them, and they are never there for you, or very seldom there for you. I'm not talking about that particular situation. We understand that. But for no reason at all, if I say I have a relationship with you and it's not a loyal relationship where we can depend on each other, that's difficult to navigate. And sometimes we hang on like an albatross around our neck. Sometimes we hang on to situations that holds us up. Loyalty, I said it. I'm not talking about your average Jane or Joe, because everybody, at the end of the day, everybody cannot be loyal. And loyalty has its limits. You can't be loyal to someone, some cause, or what have you, when it goes against your values. When it goes against your values, loyalty should never go against your values. You have to stack them up against what you believe your values are. And when it comes down to values, you may encounter people throughout life who don't have any. There have been times even in my own life, I struck out on a relationship and said, "Hey, we'll do this and we'll do that." And me, I'm of the notion most of the time that is give and take, because in a relationship that has loyalty and values, then you should be able to express what it is you need, so the relationship grows. So it grows. If it doesn't grow, when you realize that, if staying loyal is holding you back from personal growth or new opportunities, it's a sign that you may be loyal to the past and not the future. You can hold yourself captive and be like a slave, loyal to the past. I don't know too many people who like to live in the past. I don't know too many people that could sit in front of a group on social media, in person, or what have you, and give you their past. I don't know too many people who can do that. But it's a sign you may be loyal to the past when you may need to start looking at the future, because loyalty has its limits. You can't be in a relationship and be loyal at the same time to someone when the relationship is not growing, whatever growing means to you. And some people get in a relationship and almost want to hold you hostage and remind you when the relationship is based on obligation and not love, especially in the dynamics of a family. When it's based on just because you're my brother, just because you're my sister. It's based on obligation and not love. In a family dynamic, y'all, people often guilt trip us into thinking that loyalty means endless sacrifice. It does not. But true loyalty should come from the heart and not like, oh, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. When someone breaks your trust and they break it beyond, I mean, you just can't repair it. Forgiveness is powerful, but continuous betrayal of loyalty and relationship, and if it's in a often time pattern, that's not a mistake. But here's how you handle it. I like to give my opinions that lead towards some solutions. I don't have all the answers. But when you find yourself in a relationship where there's no loyalty and loyalty has reached its limits, acknowledge the reality of it. Acknowledge it. If someone is showing you that they aren't loyal and call themselves in a relationship with you, having a relationship with you, and I don't just mean a romantic or a platonic relationship. I mean a brother relationship. I mean a sister relationship. I mean a niece relationship. I mean a nephew relationship. I'm talking about a auntie relationship. I'm talking about a family relationship. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge it for what it is, because loyalty has its limits. You've got to forgive, you can't forget, and you've got to move on, but you cannot wallow in a room full, a house full of disloyal people. Loyalty, although it has its limits, loyalty helps build relationships. And there's power in it. The true power of loyalty in relationships, unshakable trust. When you know someone has your back, it makes the relationship stronger. It don't make it weaker. And do not be misguided at all when I say a person, a member of the family, or whomever has to have my back. We have to be conscious of, and I'm sure we are, people, and even in your family, that would take advantage of you. And I don't consider that to be loyal. You can have that, but it can't be your emotional security all the time. But emotional security within a relationship that helps build up that loyalty. It provides reassurance. especially in a family, especially in a very close family. You get deeper connections when people are loyal. You feel more free to express and to talk with them, to talk to them. Yes, you do. You develop a deeper connection. And that's the bonds. That's the bonds of the loyalty. That's the bonds of the relationship through the good and the bad. But here's one that is very seldom talked about when we talk about relationships and when we talk about people being loyal in relationships. Respect and support. I you know, it doesn't matter what you need or why you need it. Because see, loyalty never takes a break. You might not can support me with this or that. How about because it costs absolutely nothing, not 1 cent to support someone verbally and mean it. Loyalty can build upon that as well. But you've got to have respect and support. And that's the truth of the matter, y'all. Loyalty has its limitations. Depending upon how strong the relationship is. The stronger the relationship, the stronger the loyalty. But when it reaches its limits, you can gracefully bow out and keep your peace. You can gracefully wish them well. You can do it. Because loyalty has a shelf life. And whatever we do, we should all try to do our dead level best to have relationships that produce loyalty. Hey, look, I enjoyed our short time today. I want you to join me midweek. I've got a new arm of the podcast called What's Happening Now Behind Enemy Lines, where I just take a look at some newsreels, news articles, and talk about those and give my opinion on those. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the share, all right? Hit the notification bell, and let's keep this thing going. I appreciate everything you do. And remember, if you're going to win the battle, you've got to stay in the fight. Peace.